Mama, please don't waste a tear. Please don't cry. Mama, please don't waste your tears. No, your little boy is grown. Mama, just pray for your babe, cause these streets kinda crazy. Ain't no way he can make it all alone. Mama, please.
Your full name?
Bobby Ray Oliver II,
Okay, and tell me where you were born.
Wichita Falls, Texas.
Okay, now, while growing up, tell me exactly who is your mother, who's your father. Go ahead and give me their names.
Obviously, my father is Bobby Ray Oliver. My mother is Pauline Navarro. Now Oliver now, though.
Okay. Can you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your mom and dad? How they met and what you know about them?
My dad is 75, so he was born in 39. My mom was born in 49. Funny thing is, he remembers her growing up. It's crazy. She was Mexican, he was black, but back in the day, everybody stayed all in one damn side. So eventually they met, and I was made many years later.
Okay, so what's unique about your mom's side and what's unique about your dad's side?
My dad's side, my dad's side, I'll get to that in a minute. I'll go ahead and give you my mom's because that's simple. I really didn't know my grandparents because my grandfather was racist, so he didn't want me in the first place. Funny thing is, I was born on his birthday. Imagine that bullshit. But, so I grew up not liking Mexicans. I'm cool, I ain't gonna lie. I grew up like that, but I ended up, at the same time being raised by him, so I had the love and everything that came from it, so they made up for him. But anyway, fuck him. My dad's family, I didn't really get to meet them since he was so old when he had me. My grandparents were dead, and by that time the 80s had hit, and crack came. And everybody knows how that story goes. Everybody that I got in my fucking family is a crackhead, so.
Now, as far as your mom's side of the family, when you had family gatherings as a kid, how was that?
It was fun. It was weird.
Did you feel out of place?
Hell no. I always felt at home everywhere I went because I didn't care what nobody thought. Once I realized that my grandfather didn't want me, I always walked around with a chip on my shoulder like, fuck the world.
And how did you relate to your dad's side of the family?
I related to him great because not everybody was a crackhead, just the people that were old enough to smoke crack at that time, they ran into it. But everybody else is cool, man, you know what I'm saying? I was always accepted. There was never a head turn, head snob, none of that shit that comes along with racism. It was always, hey baby, how you doing? You hungry? The kids outside.
Cool. Now, growing up, being biracial, did you feel out of place at all during like school life or with your friends? Was there any point in your life where you were still trying to find exactly who you were? Did you know who you were growing up the whole time?
Pretty much knew who I was because when you're baptized with hate from the get-go, you know what I'm saying? When your dad and your grandfather, I hate to call him that, my mom's dad, bump heads, you know what I'm saying? I mean, before you're even born and you know that there's a situation brewing there that if this man ever comes over here, your father's likely to go back to prison or something, so it's hard to talk about that shit because I hate that dude. I don't like talking about it.
Okay. Now, growing up, and you can't say you were wealthy.
Hell no.
So the situations in life that you made later on that ended up, with the results that you had, you think it would have been different if you had lived in a different economic situation?
Fucking right.
Tell me what you think would have been different.
Oh man, I would have probably been doing what you're doing now or something, you know what I'm saying? I would have been doing something legally good with my life, you know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't have led to what ended up happening and all the other good stuff, so. But money, it makes a big ass difference, man. Cause when you're poor, there ain't no real help out the ghetto. When you living down here flicking roaches off your fucking plate, and you go to other people's houses. When I used to go to your house, I used to just be like, it's a big ass house. Y'all had a 3-bedroom. That was unfathomable to me. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even imagine having a 3-bedroom house. You know what I'm saying? My own fucking room and shit like that. Nah, I couldn't imagine that. So when you get to a certain age, no matter how smart you are, because, I was grade A, aces all the way, until it hit me You know, college ain't gonna mean shit if you ain't got no money. I tried it, it didn't work, and it made sense, yeah. I ended up going the only route I knew that I was taught growing up, and that was the streets. Hell, what you gonna do? You gonna swim or you gonna sink? Shit, I swam right on into the motherfucking penitentiary. But it was only a little short stay, taught me a lot, but I don't think I changed nothing.
You learned a lot.
Hell yeah. From all of life, yeah. From being from the bottom to make it to where you are now, fuck yeah. It means a whole lot more to me now to do good and make better of myself and to make more and more money legally than it does to, you know, get out there and get myself hemmed up in everybody else's bullshit because everybody's worried about everybody on Facebook. Social media, that'll kill you. It'll fuck your life up.
Okay, so growing up as your mom and dad, it's like, did they try to keep you away from falling into the wrong all the time? Or was it
Hell yeah, my nephew right now is the leader of the gang at home. 11 Deuce Who Crips, he's been locked down for 20-some years. Since 93, he's been locked up. My dad and my mom, of course, always stayed on me. Do not go over there with the Cobras. Don't you go over there. Don't you get wrapped up in it. You know, don't get caught up in all that. And my daddy used to just pull me to the side and say, you know what? You don't need no gang. You don't need no gang. That's your family. You don't need to join no gang. You stay out of all that. That stuff you don't got nothing to do with. And that's why I was raised, you know. And my daddy, everything my daddy told me, man, it really stuck with me. You know, my mama did too, you know what I'm saying, because I knew she cared. But my daddy, he told me in a way that, you know, it reflected. You know what I'm saying? He made sense of everything when he knew I was confused about how things were going.
Now, growing up, did your mom incentive you a feeling of pride for being half Hispanic, half Black? Was any of that being taught to you when you were growing up?
Oh, yeah, man. We used to listen to Mexican music all day, Johnny Ozuna and all types of people, man, when I was little. I used to ride in the car with her, so I listened to her music. I'd be listening to Mexican music on this car and get in this car, and we'd be listening to blues and Al Green and stuff, you know, ZZ Hill. I don't know if y'all know anything about that, but yeah.
So as a kid growing up and being in a biracial family, did you see any kind of issues, tension between not only like your mom and dad, but within the family itself, like besides your grandpa, any other relatives?
Oh yeah, there was definitely racism all through the family. I mean, come on. If your father is like that, you're automatically taught that. That's why my mother and my aunt, there's only two that had babies by black men. And those two were shunned for the longest until we ended up being probably the most successful. There's probably only maybe one or two other people that are doing better than a couple of us. You know, I'm not gonna say all of us that are black are doing great. You know how that goes. You know what I'm saying? But neither all the Mexicans or the white dudes, neither. So that's the better thing for me, because I feel better about myself, because I remember when our birthdays hit, sometimes the people wouldn't come to my birthday party because they went to the granddad's. You know, the kids, they would take the kids over there instead of taking the kids with me. You know what I'm saying? Or I would have to wait till like the 12th or some shit to have my birthday because of this motherfucker. I'm telling you, it was real weird, but.
How did you feel, man? Did that affect you a lot?
Hell yeah, can't you see? I don't like fucking, I get real hateful. I get real hateful about that. It's like I'm a kid, you know? And this started back when my cousins were kids, and they're 12 years older than me, you know what I'm saying? They had to go through the worst part of it when that man was young enough to actually try to pose a threat. You know, and you have to hear your dad saying, I'm fixing to kill him. And your mom's crying, and you know, and then you grow up and you see the man and you got to get out the house and you got to go home. Just because he popped up out of the blue. He didn't schedule an appointment, you know, but just because he comes over to my aunt's house, we have to hide and get behind the couch and shit like that. And this is coming from, you know what I'm saying, the aunts and stuff like that. And one day I was probably about like 9, and I just said, you know what, fuck that. And I stood up, he looked, and I walked out. I just looked at him. And ever since then, I never liked going over certain aunts' houses because he would pop up. And that's what kind of made me distant from a lot of my family. And that's what made me closer to the black side, because you have to have some kind of family. And even though we were on Flood Street, shout out Wichita Fall, all on damn bars and going up and down the street, everything was bad legally anyway, or into the white world perspective, or whatever you want to say. But yeah, these guys are selling drugs, doing drugs. Some people are just running businesses, but I was down in amongst all of it, and it taught me a lot. And people might say that's bad parenting. It's like, shit, what do you do when your mom has to go take care of her mom because she's got breast cancer, but you can't go with her because you're black? You gotta stay with your dad. Sooner or later, your dad's gonna need some free time. He's taking care of 2 kids. He's got a teenager and a little baby. You know, he's trying to work 2 different angles here, and he's trying to keep up with his daughter. And on the weekends, how can you keep up with your daughter when you got a baby and your wife's gone? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a fucked up situation, but I feel my mama is her mama. You want to be there for your mama like that. You know, she wasn't prejudiced, and that was the hard thing. My grandmother wasn't. She snuck out the hospital like maybe a week before she died to see me and the other black kids at Dollar General. I still got the little bullshit car she bought me right now. That was the only time I got to meet her. She died a week later. I was 5.
I know everybody has a sense of family. With stuff that's going on in your life, did you find your friends as your second family, and did that lead to the choices you made? Influences? Was there influences, negative influences actually, or was it all Bobby's decision?
Oh, there was plenty of influence. I was an influential kid. I didn't know what to do. You know, I mean, no kid knows what to do. We're all influential when we're young. I had a lot of hate for Mexican people at the start, but I was still raised by them, like I said, and I ended up loving them again because of that. You know, I used to feel outcast all the time. You know what I'm saying? I was always picked on when I stayed with them, but they raised me. But as time grew on, I mean, this was at the young years, you know, this is before I met Ishmael and all that shit. When I got to hanging with y'all, it was all cool. Everybody was normal then. But that's when, you know, you realize who's coming from where you're coming from, you know. But yeah, it was like that though. You know, you're influenced by everything. You know, you get in the car with your dad with a white mechanic, and he takes you to go to the junkyard to get a part for your dad so he can pass inspection. And he spits tobacco in the cup, looks down at you, and you're like fucking 3 years old, and he says, "You's a high brown, ain't you?" What type of shit is that to say to a kid? You know, but that's the way Wichita Falls was back in the day. It still is like that. They don't want to admit it, but they are, you know. That's just what it is. It's going to be like that. Every city you go to is going to be like that. That's just part of the plan. The easiest way to make money is that way.
So it's part of like, now that you're grown and you see the situation that you were in back when you were younger, do you see your family now a different way? Do you forgive them? Do you still have this?
Hell yeah, I love them. I love them to death. I love them to death, man. I'm not going to hold no grudges from back in the day when shit was messed up, you know what I'm saying? We're all kids, they didn't know no better, they were taught that. You know what I'm saying? They were taught to disdain black people, you know what I'm saying? They were taught to think bad, but then they had me. And I feel like I was the bridge for that. Because now, tenfold, I done came back, got out of jail 4 years later, I'm doing better than almost every motherfucking kid in the family. And it all took focus. That's what jail gave me. Gave me a motherfucking eye for everything else going on. Stop bitching about this, bitching about that, you know what I'm saying? Like when it was coming up, mama and daddy was getting into it because, you know, the shit going on between the racism over there. They got into it a lot over there. The aunts used to act funny towards my dad and all that, but, you know, I had to get all that off my shoulders. In there, you had to get along or stay in there. And shit, I didn't want to stay in there. Who the fuck wants to stay in prison? You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna make no bad decisions no more. And I didn't make none in there, and I don't see no reason for the system to scare me into doing good in there and me not do good out here. I might well do good for my damn self. So, you know, it all takes off from there, for me anyway. Some people go back, they get accustomed to the place, and I don't understand that. I'd rather get some real pussy than fuck menage a trois in my head, jacking off on the guard and shit. You know what I'm saying? Wishing I could get some of that. Fuck around, catch a case and be in there and miss parole. But anyway, yeah, sorry. Get carried away when I talk, folks.
Right, so now that you see that you're growing up and you're able to see things in a different light, Do you feel like racism has changed? Since you were stuck in the middle between being Hispanic and black, what do you think the relationship is now between black and brown? Through your eyes now, being
It's getting better. I mean, everybody's gonna have their subtle racism. Everybody's a racist, whether or not we want to admit it. We are, because everybody has a certain stereotype that you're gonna feel with a Mexican, a white, a Jew, a black, even black. Black people, we don't even like niggas. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even like niggas sometimes. So we some of the biggest races. We don't like nobody, but we don't even like our own either. And that's in every race. It's just other races treated different. You know what I'm saying? We just end up putting up a high crime rate because we don't like each other.
okay. So final thing, and I really want you to think about this. Could you give me one story that I know it's kind of hard to say whatever, but could you tell us of something that actually happened? A story that happened that actually involved racism in your life, that involved both sides when you grew up. Is there something that you could tell us that happened to you? A specific story or something that hasn't?
What do you mean by like?
That would you felt like you were out of place, being half and half? Was there something that happened to you at any point in your life that made you think, man, I'm half and half? Like,
No, it was never a point to where it was, everybody joke about it, call me breed and stuff, but it was never a point to, because most of the friends that I had didn't even bother with it, so that never became an issue. It was just more like just full black being black racism. And the funny thing is, if you look at me, you know what I'm saying, you wouldn't just think that, but to white people, you know what I'm saying, I hate to be like that, but come on, white people. I went to jail my first time as a juvenile. They wrote me down as a B. They didn't ask me what I was. I don't look black. You know what I'm saying? But that's what you get wrote down as. And that's bullshit, but that's how it goes. Because they want to make that statistic higher. You know what I'm saying? That's what, it opened my eyes at a young age that you're already black whether or not you wanted to be. You didn't get no choice. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Mexican man hated you, because you were already black. So you started out black. So that's what you're going to follow up through. And look at me now. I'm accepted almost every hood I get dropped off into because I'm just cool. I ain't looking for no trouble. I ain't gang banging. My cousins do that shit, but all I'm here for is to chill, have a good time, barbecue, man. If we can invest in some motherfucking stocks and bonds, holla.
all right, so tell everybody why they should invest in this movie, and tell them why it's so important to tell a story of racism in the hood and how to live through something like that, being biracial. Like, tell the audience why they should invest in this film.
Because America's gonna become like me. You're looking at America. You're looking at America. You can guarantee that in 20 years, almost everybody's gonna have a piece of something in their family. I bet it's everybody in this room right now got a mixed breed baby somewhere in their family, real close, real close. So yeah, you might as well invest in it because you're looking at the future.
All right, so go ahead and tell me your name, your full name.
Bobby Ray Oliver II.
All right, thank you, Bobby.
Appreciate it, Bobby. No problem.
Saying go, life's a bitch.